Welcome, everyone. This is Funny News, and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in LOTRO and here at LOTRO Players. And this week we have with us Terry Adwin,
Hi, hi.
Sanswinda,
Hello.
Guerendis,
Hello, everyone.
Erendis,
Hey, everybody.
and Kilabathian.
Pig pants. Hello.
Well, what a way to start a show. And let's then head into the release notes for Update 28 War of the Three Peaks, the late six.
Instead of the three pigs. Sorry,
There's only two.
there's only two now, though. Well, three if you count the pit.
War of the Three
War of the Wolf or
Peaks.
something.
A mini expansion just released by Standing Stone Games. And they first have a special note: War of the Three Peaks. Prince Durin, son of King Thorin Stonehelm, leads his armies to reclaim Gundabad, the mountain home of his people. As the Longbeards, Jelruka, and Stout Axes assemble to lay siege to the great fortress, orcs led by Gorgar the Ruthless, son of Bolg and brother of Mazog, meet them in battle. The War of Three Peaks begins. We also...
Dun, dun,
Yes.
dun. Sorry, Pilot. Go ahead.
Yeah, ... We also have a new raid. Amdan Damu, the Bloody Threshold. The final battle, the War of the Three Peaks, has begun. Prince Durin Stonehelmson of the Longbeards leads the Gabalaka, a great host of united dwarves, to the very gates of Mount Gundabad. But Gorgar the Ruthless, son of Bolg, has one last surprise in store for those who would seek to usurp him. This is a 12-player raid. It is now available to run at difficulties tiers 1 through 3. Tiers 4 and 5 will be released in the future.
I believe Cord said that Tier 4 may be dropping as early as the 29th.
Well, that will certainly be...
That was on the latest Friday one.
I feel like Gobble Aka is like the most awkward thing to be saying.
It is. It is. Every time I hear it said, I'm just like, it sounds kind of reminds me something of like a turkey, like gabalaka, gabalaka, gabalaka.
See, all I could think of is that song. Was it from the 80s or the boom, boom, shakalaka laka boom?
Oh, the walk the dinosaur. Yeah.
Yes. Walk the pig pants.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Walk the pig pants. Boom, boom.
Okay.
Gabalaka, boom.
Yes. So it sounds like we're going to be doing the Gabalaka.
Gobble, gobble, gobble.
We also have a 6-player instance, Shakalush, the Stair Battle. It is on the stairs of Bagud Mekem, the Gate of Winds, that a decisive battle of the War of the Three Peaks is to be fought. There, caught between those loyal to Gorgar the Ruthless and Hremil Frostheart, the Gabalaka hope to deal a devastating blow to both of these forces in a single stroke.
That sounds really horrible.
This is a 6-player instance that's available to run difficulty tiers 1 to 3, with 4 and 5 will be released in the future. Then we also have in the Elder Slate missions. Prince Durin Stonehelmson of the Longbeards has declared his intention to retake Gundabad for the dwarves. He needs heroes like you to aid in the war efforts if there is any hope of succeeding against the orc army. Missions are a new way for 1 or 2 players to play together between levels 20 and 130. Players can access missions hub by visiting to a Gabalaka stable master located near other stable masters including Thorn's Gate, Gondaman, Breetown, 21st Hall, Othrakar, Gabalish Shakhtar,
Gabble Shathor. Gabble
yes,
Shathor.
Glowing's Camp, Hrimbarg, Galtrev, The Dolphin View, Machashu, Yarnfast, Erebor, and Minas Tirith Midsummer.
There's
Can I
some
just
really
say,
obscure stable masters listed here, but my takeaway to this is, do you know why Durin needs everybody's help for this? Because when he declared this war, he declared it in front of like a reflective piece of ice filled with dragons.
Yes. Well, it's
Not his brightest moment.
we can only hope that the ice was so reflective that it bounced off of it and didn't go into it for the dragons to hear.
Well, Hermel Frostheart has decided to put in a new appearance after not being defeated in the anvil, so clearly we know that that didn't happen.
Well, all right, you've got your point there. Yes, some of these obscure ones are little dwarf holds, and places with dwarves are what we generally have in there. Galtrev is the hardest one for me to figure out, I think, in the entire list.
Yeah, it's like, since when does Galtrev have a dwarf presence? But okay. Maybe they have some dwarven emissaries. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I gotta figure out what's going on there because at least we got some dwarven presence in Breetown and Minas
Still
Tirith
waiting for them to
Midsummer's a little
show us
strange
what's
too.
behind that like secret little door thing.
I mean, you would have thought instead of Galtrev, if you're gonna go by like, okay, it's the dwarf presence, at least Harndirian. But
Yeah.
since Nars Peak is across the valley,
are they trying to
Yeah.
hit specific level ranges, do you think?
probably.
Well, there's also that, except the fact that the most important level range to cover will be the low level ones. And as well as a hard right because Yarnfast actually. Oh, I was wondering why Scarhold wasn't in there. That's because Scarhold has its link to the exterior of the camp instead of to the interior.
Yeah.
So you can get there from Scarhold. It's just that you would have to go through the door in order to go inside.
Yes, you have to take an extra step through the door.
Yeah. And in fact, today when I was doing that, I was looking to go outside anyway, so that turned out to be the most convenient way to go. Especially since the port to Scarhold takes you practically next to the stable master.
Yeah.
So that works out very, very well. But anyway, missions, you could do missions anywhere from level 20 all the way up to 130, and I have done them on various different leveled characters, including a level 20, two level 130s, and a 95. So yes, I know it can be done. These stable masters will take you to Kerfu, the war room in the Elder Slade, where you can begin the experience with missions. Missions are a great way to earn leveling loot and more, and are also an excellent way for players to level regardless of what level they are in the game. And so you can check those out in there. And it looks like it gives you whatever loot is available in the landscape for your level range,
Nice.
which is, I think, the first time they had anything quite scaling that way because all the scaling instances I could think of before, all they normally drop are marks or something like that. So that's it concerning that. And of course, we have our usual notes for classes. For burglars, the burglar skill throw knife no longer advances to D trickster because it's not a trick.
Have you ever tried to throw a knife? It's kind of tricky.
Well, there is that. Especially if it's not an a knife optimized for throwing. And burglar skills, mischievous gleed, mischievous delight, startling twist, and clever retort no longer advance the deed perplexing riddle. For Guardians, Drilla Battle's cooldown has been reduced from 20 seconds to 8 seconds. Stoic Bubble now provides a damage reduction during its effect rather than a heal on expiration. Break Ranks now applies a group-wide buff rather than an individual buff. This skill is now triggered by Shield Taunt rather than Shield Smash. And this buff can only be triggered once every 60 seconds. Fortification can now begin rebuilding immediately after being cashed out, and Guardian trait Bellow reduces challenges cooldown by 5 seconds per rank. The trait tooltip has been updated to reflect this. For champions, Horn of Champions trait now has 2 tiers. The first grants the skill, and the second makes it a taunt.
Oh, well, the second makes it taunt. And I'm like, so it it takes off the Horn of Champions so that it suddenly taunts everything. I know, but still, it makes it taunt.
And Defending Horn trait now only has 1 tier, which grants a full effect bonus in the skill plus 40% damage plus 4 targets. And this change was because there were some people who complained about Horn of Champions being a taunt because for some reason Blue Line wasn't enough of a hint that it might taunt. For a Hunter traits Strong Draw affects only bow skills, and its tooltip has been updated to reflect that. Well, since most skills that a hunter uses are bow skills, I guess that's not too much of a problem.
Yeah, I was about to say, what? That's kind of what they do. They use a bow.
Yes, I think the idea was that they do have 1 or 2 melee skills. They just want to, and they want to say that all right, those few melee skills aren't going to be affected by a strong draw because they're not drawing. For Lore Masters, the tooltip for Lore Master trait set bonus Fellowship Friend has been updated to details which buffs are offered by which pets. Additionally, the eagle now gives the same buff as the raven.
Then why have both of them?
Well, I think the eagle probably still has the res thing that it can do.
Oh,
So.
okay.
But anyway, this is Fellowship's Friend. I think they're talking about the Fellowship Friend bonus anyway. I would presume that the other buff is that the existing pet abilities are going to still be the same as they always were. Minstrels! A tooltip bit for the skill Major Ballad Resonance has been corrected. The Minstrel skill Call of the Second Age and Bolster Courage will no longer advance the deed dynamic performance. For the Runekeeper Deed, the prophetic word can now be advanced by the skill Scribe a New Ending, and the Runekeeper skill Scribe a New Ending may be used while moving.
Oh, yay!
Which is great and all, but they still haven't changed the image for like two two things that the Rune Keeper can do that are literally like it's like okay, let me make sure that I know which one is which because they are the same image.
Yeah, that's always a problem. For Warden's light damage dots from a Warden trait set bonus, Martial Fury, has been reworked to scale properly with the player's primary weapon. The Warden trait set bonus Makeshift Caltrops will no longer affect enemies who are normally immune to slowing effects.
Makeshift caltrops. Legos!
Lego my egos.
Legos. Yeah, I guess those could be makeshift caltrops. I mean, it's either that or using 4-sided dice.
Jacks, which are actually kind of caltrops anyway. So
Yeah, jacks are basically caltrops for playing with.
they're
Have you
kind
ever
of
stepped on jacks? Yes. The Warden skill, marked target, diminished target, and fire at will are now categorized as javelin skills instead of javelin gambits. This will not change the functionality of the trait seize the moment.
So I can't help but notice that there's a whole bunch of changes for Warden and Guardian. And now I'm kind of like, so are they trying to make them relevant? I mean,
I don't think that two of the changes for the Warden really have no major effect. And for one is a very slight nerf, except for the fact that, well, it's from a trait set bonus, so it's not something you normally worry about anyway, unless you happen to have that trait set. And Warden skills, marked target, diminished target, and all that stuff, just as changing categorization, so it's probably just going to have no real effect. The light time damage then also has to do with the trait set bonus, Martial Fury, and it's been reworked. So nothing significant. I don't think anything that's going to be a major change to how the class operates.
okay.
Now,
Not playing Guardians or Wardens. I'm like, because it seems like this time around it was like a whole bunch of changes for those two, and everything else was just kind of little. And I'm like,
well, we'll have to have somebody who's a Guardian answer to see whether any of those are significant. Well, going Thrill of Battle's cooldown being reduced to 8 seconds is probably something that's useful. Then let's head into items. Featured instance and feature challenge armor sets now have appropriate max levels for their set bonuses. I'm sure everyone loves there being max levels. Oh, the max levels only apply to the set bonuses? The armor doesn't disappear on you, I hope?
That's good. That's just a little problematic when the armor
That
decides
is very excellent for
doesn't actually you shouldn't be wearing the armor anymore, and all of a sudden you're naked.
Yeah.
right. That's quite shocking.
let's
like,
go
"Whoa,
fight Shelob naked.
Ooh,
No, this is not going to
absolutely."
work.
The tarnished sigil of Gondor now goes into the barter wallet. Elite Wilderland Skirmishers helms now is renamed to Coifs to match their recipe name. Armor, all sorts of. I think going through all this might be a little bit overkill in there. But Filbert Fig has returned and has a new emote and several new housing decorations available for Figments of Splendor. Myrtle Mint has retired for this season. The cosmetics found in the steel-bound loot boxes have also been rotated to match those available from Filbert.
I'm gonna have to go talk to Filbert and see what he has for us. There's a new emote. I want to see what it is, and
I
if I
got
want it.
Figments of Splendor out of my Hobbit present recently, so yeah.
It's funny.
What is it?
Shoo. You're kind of like doing this flailing about and then like pushing away almost like you're like, get out of here.
That's hilarious.
Well, there are plenty of times where that could come in useful.
Yeah, no kidding.
Workindeer's gonna have to get that one. I can see it right now. Phew. Get away from me.
Definitely.
The number of Embers of Enchantment received for disenchanting armor and jewelry dropped in Minas Morgul instances, War 3 Peaks instances, and Akshad Mazal, the Chamber of Shadows, has been halved. Now that additional sources of Embers of Enchantment are now available. I think I already hear the screaming on that one.
Mhm.
Fix it.
You don't even have to listen very hard to hear the screaming on that one.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'll try to keep my internal screaming down.
Yeah.
It could be Terry's parrot too. So I'm just saying.
Yeah. Defeat in the Glimmer Deep will no longer send players to the east side of Ered Mithrin.
Oh, good.
Yes. A typo has been fixed in the quest to the last drop. Sometimes I'm wondering they're okay. Sometimes you wonder what typos do they have in there. One of the dwarf folk became a little too buoyant during the instance an echo in the mountains and has now been tethered to the floor.
I'm sorry, that description just makes me laugh every time I read it.
One of the Frost Horde drakes in Legacy of Durin Chapter 1 was using fire attacks instead of frost attacks. He's now cooled down.
Well, you gotta surprise them somehow. It's like, oh, hey, frost drakes, and oh no, fire! We weren't expecting that.
It's not a phase, Mom.
Yes.
It's not a phase.
Yes. Lowered the hill surrounding the tower in the Eastfold neighborhood to improve the view. I am going to have to go up and check that at my house because since I have one of those tower houses, I better go and check that. Actually, what they really do is to lower the wall slightly so that a hobbit can easily see over it, but that's another matter. Ivan Broctul no longer looks like a monstrosity, partial invisible horror. His fellow townfolk are quite relieved that he's on the mend. Yes. The front door of 8 Ridge Road in the Eastfold homestead is no longer always open.
Yay!
I remember about this for some reason.
Well, my
Hasn't
house.
this wasn't this something that they had fixed before
No.
and noted, or
No,
because
I think that was during
No.
the forward patch notes where I mentioned it before.
Yeah.
okay, because I was like, these sound awfully familiar.
Yeah, Volwer.
Okay.
So now they're in the game for real. We hope.
Oh, they are. Well, that one is anyway.
All right. The milestone in Minas Tirith Midsummer no longer has custom text indicating that it's a different area. Yes, that one did make me do a double trick because I think it said Minas Tirith after battle. And yes, it was technically after battle, but it's a little bit more after battle. Yeah. The door in the Great Southern Guest House in Minas Tirith Midsummer is now labeled. Physics has been added to the reflecting pools in the Houses of Healing Midsummer.
Well, that's good because we always hate it when there's a place with no physics and everyone's just
Well,
kind of
it looked
walking
like
on the ceiling.
Mercury. It looked like Mercury. It was really weird.
It looked like the planet or the
The
element.
element.
Okay, the element. Well, I would say that Mercury is probably the last element you want in the Houses of Healing.
Well, I mean, they did think it used to help things, but
Well, yeah. Well, I don't know if the Gondorians believe it though.
true. Just saying.
Yeah, that's the.
Athalas or Mercury?
A floating plow in the Shire has been grounded. The quest level for Chords of Love has been set to 1 from 10. Sapphire Firefly Lanterns now have their correct bug catching location name, despite the fact that it'll probably be another how many months before we'll have to worry about that again? A dead spot in the Elf Allegiance Hall has been fixed. A dead spot in Bree Town has been fixed. A stuck spot in Northern Door of Marth has been fixed. And a facing issue on the Carrack in the Vales of Anduin has been fixed between the quest History of Etched in Stone and the Pact of Paws and Wings. Oh, that's quite a bit. A toggle button has been added for the trait configuration panel for displaying the trait specialization information. A binding warning has been added to Essence Socket Dialog. Race and class information is now available in the character panel. And the game launcher now has an option to allow you to stay logged in for 8 hours. The down arrow menu has an option to log out if you need to do so. And I think that is active by default, but then that you turn it off if you don't want it to stay on for 8 hours. But at least on my system, it's convenient. But I have a feeling that if you, I was going to say if you're playing on a public computer, but I don't know if too many people play LOTRO on a public computer. But I guess if you're traveling and such as Mythmoot or something like that, you might want to make sure that you don't stay on for 8 hours when you go to a class. And virtues can now go up to tier 72 for characters at level 130. And login times for characters with a lot of completed deeds should be significantly faster, though according to Terry Adwin, that is not the case.
Not.
We're into seconds that idea.
Yes. But there are a couple of known issues. Due to an adjustment to crafted legendary items earlier this year, players may end up in a situation where there are negative ranks in their non-imbued legendary items. You can correct this problem by using a scroll of renewal to reset the legendary points on the item. Alright. And some terms in German are pending further review by the translators.
Because they sound so aggressive.
But they're German. Everything in German sounds aggressive.
Well, yes, that's the thing about that. There's also a third.
Ich liebe dich. Oh Lord, he loves me.
Yeah. And there is also one more issue, and that relates to the 64-bit client. And that is that they're currently investigating and working to resolve an issue preventing some players from launching the game using the 64-bit game client. This issue can be corrected by downloading and installing the latest supported Visual C++ redistribution package from Visual Studio 215, 217, or 2019. You'd also get the proper files to download from Microsoft. And players can also resolve this issue by switching to the 32-bit client, which can be done by the game launcher and selecting the down arrow, la la la. And we are working on quickly as possible to correct this issue. But in the meantime, if you run into an issue and don't want to switch over to the 32-bit client, then fix it. The fix above should work.
Possible patch coming this week with an update.
Yes. Now, I think it has something to do with DirectX or something like that, I believe is.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is because apparently it is not affecting me because I'm running the 64-bit client. And in fact, this week is the first time I've ever run the 64-bit client on a consistent basis because it's a little bit more tenable now that we have that 8-hour stay logged in switch in there. And that's the update for update 28. And as you just heard, there is going to be a small patch probably next week where they're going to take care of a couple of things that they've noticed in the game since the release, because every single expansion seems to have one or two little quirks in them. And also note that there is a change in the method for purchasing expansion packs. And this is noted by scrolling there. In that pretty much all buying and rewards are now done using your account info. No codes or delayed emails. But this also means you need to be aware of which account you are actively on, or whether you select, or you can select them. In other words, make sure that when you are in the LOTRO market, in order to buy the thing, that when you're asked to log in, you log in to the account where you want the item to be delivered. So you will log in to the page using your game account credentials to complete the purchase. You'll no longer be needing codes in order to do anything. If you have more than one game account associated with your login, you'll be able to select which specific game account you want it to be applied to. At this time, older expansions and offers in the LOTRO market will continue to require you to redeem a code that is emailed to you after you purchase. So that's for the older expansions, yes. And it is possible to edit and add payment methods using the UI of the LOTRO market, but the remove payment method option in the UI is temporarily not working, and that will be fixed in an upcoming patch. So be aware of this. The upshot of this is that you cannot currently gift a gift an expansion because you are logged into the account where you want it to be delivered. So that's sort of the disadvantage of what they're doing. They're doing this because apparently over the years there have been too many headaches associated with people losing codes because of lost emails or spam filters or anything like that. So they just decided they had to do away with the situation and bypass the email system completely. Now, there were a couple of issues relating to the market over the week. I think they've got them resolved on the most part, but just be aware there might be delays or something like that because whether that was because things were very, very busy or whether there were some issues that have been since tweaked, I'm not too sure on the details on that. Any questions before you head to the beacon? Hearing none, and let's head into the LOTRO Beacon, issue 179 for Community Spotlight. Le Darby de Lerdor are organizing their. Does someone speak French to actually say that properly? Nope, nobody does. Okay. That's
I have to pull it up. I was trying to.
Let me see.
I'm behind.
Okay.
Can I just say, by the way, before we actually get into the beacon proper,
Yeah.
I really love this new loading screen for the Three Peaks.
Oh yes, that's
It is
the
cool.
yes, that is the top banner for this week's is the loading screen for the Three Peaks, and
I actually really love that graphic.
yeah, very nice one. Three Peaks in the background and a battle in the foreground.
And dwarves.
Yes.
Dwarves
And
looking
dwarves.
awesome and epic.
Well, I would presume that is that supposed to be Durin there on the far right since it's the red axe?
Maybe?
You're right, that is the red axe. Hmm.
I'd like to think that that was Gloin down there, but who knows? The big
Well, that
guy.
could be glowing. Anyway, the Derby are organizing their first edition of Ariador Derby on November 28th. More information about this horse race through Ariador can be found on their kinship website. Sign up for one of only 30 slots. They will also have a video on YouTube and a Discord server. And they say they don't give the server that they're on, but based on the name of the kin, I'll assume that it is on Siranan. But unfortunately, it's a little hard for me to tell. But considering that the website that it links to is
Where?
all in French, I will say Siranan is most likely the location for that.
Bien sûr.
And you can vote for the winners of the 10th annual Decamalu Housing Week in Middle Earth contest starting in October 26th. More information about this player run event can be found at their website. Prime Plugin is a newly updated organizational interface to help you with rating, timers, wipe counters, and more. You can find more information about this player created tool in lotrointerface.com. The Minstrel Guild of Breed presents Pumpkin Jam 4, but I suspect that it's already finished.
Probably, but that's a great name.
Ugh, Pumpkin Jam 4. Gross.
Well, look at the next one. On
Yes,
the
the
list.
next one, it was a Purple Pipeweed Parlor Band, and Timu Mektar presented a Bad Side of Town on Guahir this week at the
I thought
Mudgate.
that said I thought that said telemarketer. I was like, what?
Telemectar.
Well, and the fourth kite walk in the Shire takes place on October 30th on Guahir. You can read more information on the forums or see the flyer below. So that would be on October 30th. Oh boy, and we have posters for all of these below that.
Yeah.
Oh,
And Piney,
actually,
if you are right, La Derby is on Cyrano. Sorry to.
okay, it is on Cyrano. All right, I guess. Yeah, I couldn't think of any other native server for them to write their announcement in French.
Yeah, if you poke around on their website some, it's in Cyrano.
Okay, thank you. Now, do you know how to pronounce the guild name, the kin name?
I don't. I'm still looking for pronunciation guides.
Okay.
Le Derby de l'Eriador.
Let's go with that.
It's the Derby of Eriador. It's in
Yep.
French.
Well, yeah.
That's far better than I can attempt.
Let's head on to the Kin Hall. The Dutch Pride is a Dutch-speaking kinship that welcomes all Dutch and Belgian players on Evernight. The kinship describes themselves as a bunch of leveling players, helpful crafters, and dedicated endgamers. Find Bergut or Tondarin to learn more. Oh boy,
I would say the J might be a Y kind of
I
sound
am
there. So
trying
like
to, but it
Toyn.
doesn't quite fit in that.
Toyndarin?
Twindar.
Toyndarin?
Yeah. I I'll need a pronunciation guide for Flemish before I'll even try that one. Listen to this week's comment. Come up with an imaginary LOTRO theme carved pumpkin. What does it look like?
Like that meme with the Muppet with its hands up with the flames, but instead it's Gollum with a ring.
Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah.
No?
I'll have to show you the meme later, Piney.
All right.
You could also do like just one singular eye in the middle of it, like the Eye of
Oh,
Sauron.
like
Or
the Eye of Sauron?
Mhm.
Oh, I could just imagine. And make sure you have the most eerily glowing light inside of it so that it could be really spooky.
Yeah, it's called Candle.
Well, I was hoping someone could think of something even more eerie than that, but I guess candles do the job, seeing how they've been
I mean,
doing
Candle is kind of really eerie.
it. Yeah.
I think you should carve in Elvish around it, one pumpkin to rule them all.
Yes.
One gourd to rule them all, and in the in the darkness find them.
There you go, Pine. I put it in the podcast link. Oh, or this is
Oh, thanks. Well, you've got the moving version. I have a static image.
Let's head into the fan site news then. Fibro Jedi has created a new guide to make LOTRO outfits with and without a wardrobe. So you can
We
check on
talked
his
about
book.
it last week. We already know that.
Yeah, we already talked about that one last week, so now it also made the fan site news. And last night we reviewed Update 27. And LOTRO Stream is your first stop to find LOTRO on Twitch. And this week, Glenn and Ori champion bardically. Druid's Fire slays some orcs in Rohan, and the Token Professor travels in Wildermore. Also on Twitch, um, Pan.
Pantheist heathen.
Yeah, Pantheist Heathen goes on a burglar journey. Strimtum being the pun and keeps mealing heads into Moria. And over on
I think
YouTube, Gamer Penny Adventures in Ostworld. Benubis finds the top 5 views in Lotro, and Narlo the Naked Gnome plays slow.
can I just say I think Pineleaf needs a raise for having to pronounce all the names in this. My goodness. Well done, sir.
Well, yeah,
That's
but how
actually
many of
part
them
of the
were
fun
anywhere
is
near
listening to
correct?
him mangle all of this stuff.
Yeah, that's the. It's sort of like Dracula's joke on the other podcast where he says, see, what he says is, "Don't worry, the mispronunciations are free of charge."
Nice.
Then for our screenshot of the week, Beryllian. No, that's completely wrong. Berylane celebrates Durance Day in style in this week's screenshot of the week. Thank you, Berylane, for sending this in. Send in your screenshots by emailing lotro at sandstonegames.com.
I
This
was
was an
totally gonna
absolutely
send one
fantastic
in.
shot.
That
Yeah,
was amazing.
I was gonna send one in too, but that's much better, so never mind. I was just gonna have mine was just gonna be Heistja flirting with the camera with the pretty little sunset in the background near kind of down the way from there, but you know what? Never mind.
we got a rearing. We have a rearing horse in front of the sunset. Yeah,
Yeah.
that'll win the prize for that one. And that's it for our beacon. So let's head into our store sales. Terry, what's on sale this week?
Well, our weekly coupon gets you the free +5 Hope Boost for 90 minutes with the ×5 with the coupon code 5 Hope Boost now through October 29th. And also through October 29th is the Friends of Radagast sale. You get 20% off pets and kites, select housing items, select mounts, horses, pets, and house stuff. Yay!
Whee! And that's until October 29th.
Through October 29th.
Yeah, through October 29th. Let's then head into our site news where we have A Burke's Tale, Chapter 12, where I hear that our hero has decided to take on a boar as a mount.
Unwillingly. At one point he tries to be really cool and dashing and do something cinematic, and it doesn't work out well for him, and he winds up cursing and having to figure out a way out of that problem. Not really cursing, but it's like you could just imagine the words that might be said. You can imagine the words that you would say if you were in that position, other than ah, screaming just incoherently in terror. But yes, Morkandir is off on a minor adventure because of a broken sword and some brigands um, in this chapter, and he is he's at some of his highest yet. I guess you'd say prime snark uh, at some points in this chapter. He's trying to help out Lofar, who's right out around Bree, and I can't believe I'm on chapter 12 and I'm still not out of Bree, but this is okay. This is okay. We can get through this because I think after this is he'll be able to actually find Sheridan, and after he goes to bed, after he takes care of this business, he'll find wake up and he'll be sore as all get out because of all the stuff that was happening in this particular scene that I've written. But he's going to be able to make his way and continue finally on his journey. Um, so yes, because so far it's just been Mork and Deer adventures around Bree. So it's a burglar's Bree tale at this point. Um, he does have to, I guess, consider doing a few things in this chapter that kind of don't sit well with him because of he just got out of the barrows and he's being asked to collect a few things that it's like, oh well, in the boar hollow there's it's not actually near the graveyard, but it's in the hollow. There are all these little mounds that are small, and I always find all these trinkets there with some stuff that I can use. And he's just like, are there any dead things walking around at any point there? Is in and the guy he's talking to, Kenton Thistleway, out at the work site, is very much kind of baffled by this and asking in return, why would there be dead things walking around? They're dead.
His response to that made me laugh so hard because Morgan Deer's like, "Oh, you sweet summer child," and the guy looks at him confused. Sir, I was born in the summer.
I was
In
born
the
in the
spring.
spring. What are you talking about? Yes. So, kind of toward the end of the chapter is where we have to leave off because it was getting a little long and getting a little late. But we're going to have to. He's having to face this idea of actually being a hero for the first time purposefully, not, oh hey, I guess I can kind of deflect my whole thing with being a hero because everybody kind of misunderstood that I was actually doing this pretty much for me, not for them. I wasn't actually trying to help everyone. I was I had personal reasons to start helping people. And then he returned the ring to the Shades, Wandering Shades brother and Bree, and put him to rest. And everybody's a lot of people saw that, and it just the story went around wild. And Bree like, oh, this, guess what this guy did? So he's like, oh, the hero of Bree, um, for doing that. And he's very much, he kind of likes that, but he's also very much like, he could basically put some distance between that and his I guess his pride. He could look at that objectively and go, well, I wasn't really a hero when I did that. They just kind of made me out to be a hero. I wasn't really doing it for them. um but now at the end of this chapter, he's actually faced with doing something that he literally has been asked, please help my daughter, um, and save her. And he's basically doing this, and he's still not sure why. But it's very much he's like it's just something in his head that he's not quite. He's like, there's no way to get around this. I'm gonna go help this guy, and he's not sure why he wants to help this guy, other than the fact that it just seems like the right thing to do. He We kind of catch a glimmer of that shift in him, that slight shift in him, before in this chapter when um, Kenton actually mentions that the sword that he's been trying to get back to Lofar. That this guy has it and is going to go use it on the workers at this secondary site that Thornley has. He's going to test it out on there, and the first thing that Morkendeer wants to think is pretty much like, what the heck, because Kitten's reaction is, could you please, go get the sword, and maybe while you're at it, convince him, not to. Yeah, it's just, he basically, Kitten's reaction is very much, could you maybe, while you're out there trying to stop him, get him to not hurt my family. The way it was phrased made it sound kind of um, selfish, and Morkendeer kind of reacted to that with, wanted to be really disgusted by it. Like, how can you be so selfish? There are people fixing to
Yeah.
die that are innocent. And all you're worried about is, could you please stop him from hurting my family?
Yeah.
And it's like, is your family out there? I
Yeah.
mean, and so yeah, we get a sense of that, but even then, he's not quite to the point where he's accepting it in himself yet, because his reaction is very much, he wanted to say it, but he didn't, because he recognizes that, you know, there, but for the grace of Eru go I. He's pretty much done the same thing, even though he's never actually gone out and hunted innocents down to kill them for fun. I mean, he's kind of not done that. He'll get into a fight and stuff, and stab the crap out of something
Yeah.
and delight in it. But he's not the kindest to like, oh hey, I have a few hours to kill. Let's go hunt some children.
Yeah.
He's
I
not that kind. I mean,
yeah. I was wondering about that particular one. Is I guess whenever I've read that quest text before, I always thought that he was he was testing it out on the boards, not on workers.
well, when I was looking at the wiki and looking through it, it basically said on the wiki that he was actually going to test it out on the workers, but
Uh,
because the boar area is so close to where that is, that a boar got him, and it actually broke when he was defending himself from a boar. But yeah, that's what I was looking at with the Lotro wiki, was,
well,
I was kind of trying to follow that, and it actually mentioned it, that was what the guy was going to do, was he was going to go, it was the people at the work site and not the pigs, because if it had been the pigs, then it yeah, working here would have been like, okay, so he's going to go kill some pigs, have him bring back some food, I mean, he would have, we'll have some ham sandwiches here, okay. But
Hmm.
yeah, maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I was kind of
Well,
looking at there.
it wouldn't be the first time the wiki was wrong if that turns out to be the case.
I mean, and when the wiki was actually created with that, maybe they actually shifted the focus, but these are supposed to be evil brigands, so it would make sense if this guy was actually going to go test out a sword on living human beings, rather, because he could get away with it, than a bunch of very dangerous creatures that might hurt him. Because the humans wouldn't, and he could laugh as he did it, because he's they're evil. I mean,
Yeah.
they're
Okay.
supposed to be.
Yeah. Well, this is the quest dialogue. Nate may be found near the. It, they prefer. Actually, no. That's also. Oh, it says Nate can be found near the abandoned work site on the east of Thornley's work site, and it says abandoned work site.
Maybe it is abandoned.
So yeah, because I always thought it was abandoned work. Yeah, it said you should. Yeah, have you found Nate yet? You should be by the abandoned work site to the east, just before the graveyard. So it's abandoned, so I'd say there weren't. So I would think there would be no workers there. I guess that's the
Yeah.
impression I've always got. So if the wiki says that testing out on workers, then something strange there. But of course, testing out a sword on boars is probably not the brightest idea in the world.
This is true.
You need a big, hefty boar spear to do that.
Yes.
or do a Morkendeer trick.
Yeah.
Continue, I guess.
Okay, because underneath it, under Objective One, on the wiki, LOTRO wiki, LOTRO dot dash wiki, it's under Objective One says find Nate. Nate may be found near the abandoned work site to the east of Thornley's work site, before the graveyard and at the top of the Boar Hollow. Kenton told you that Nate said he was going to test the sword on the workers to the east of Thornley's work site.
That
So
ju-
it's an abandoned work site, but they're
th-
all, so yeah. I'm like,
that's a bit of a contrariety right there.
yeah. But I kind of went with something that sounded vaguely like what the brigands would do, which was
Yeah,
if there was somebody at the work site, this dude was going to go, start hacking at him to test the blade for his boss,
thank
see
goodness it
how
was
well it killed.
thank
But it
goodness
was,
it was
yeah,
abandoned. Yes.
yeah. Thank goodness it was abandoned, and he was taken out by a boar because there was boars there, and etc. So yeah. I don't know if maybe that was something that was one of those it's abandoned because of the boars, or maybe it's abandoned but there were some people out there. Who knows?
Yeah, who
But
knows? Yeah.
yeah, but yeah. So he's definitely going out there to try to get this sword back, because even then Morking Deer is still of the mind, I need to go get the sword back rather than I'm going to go help these people. But at some point he's after he in his journey here, he's going to have to face the fact that he's actually helping people because he has started wanting to help people not die. I mean, he can hurt people really really well, including himself, because he but he's going from being pretty much living this life where he's been beaten down and mentally has been put into a state where he's kind of had these blinders on. He's had to do what he's had to do, and he's gotten into a little into a dark path. But he's slowly but surely had these chances to come out of it, and at one point in this journey, he's going to realize that he actually has embraced his new role as pretty much a hero. It's like, instead of, he's not a murderer, he's not an assassin. He's got these skills because he was, but he is actually a hero, and he needs to accept that fact, because the fact of the matter is that at one point or another, people are going to be toasting him for all that he's done for them. And at no point is he going to be like, nah, that wasn't me, that was someone who looked like me. I mean, what do you do when a bunch of rangers toast you with wine and their drinks and everything for all the help that you gave them, after a massive, huge, world shattering battle, that you helped, helped save the world and everything? And it's like, so what do you do when they say, yeah, thanks, and for the first time, and you get these kudos? What do you do? Just say, I can't accept this. I'm not a hero. It's like, okay. So this is kind of also his journey, crawling up from this life where he could have gone down the wrong path, and he was going down the wrong path. But he's going to wind up accepting his role in all of this. I mean, the hero life, he didn't choose the hero life, it chose him. It's kind of like the thug life didn't choose me. Anyway, um so yeah, he's this is my overall idea of this, but it's going to take some time, and I'm pretty sure at some point he may actually slip back a little bit now and then, because it is a very slippery slope trying to get up out of your past. So yeah, but with this chapter 12 thing going on, we see the first kind of glimmers of him going, okay, I guess I'm actually going to consciously decide to help this person. um, I mean, he'll still do mental gymnastics to go back to the idea of I'm worthless and I'm not doing this, right. Why am I doing this? But yeah, it's gonna happen, and he's gonna be sarcastic until all the way through. He's not sarcastic.
Then,
So yes,
yeah.
go
Then
ahead.
let's head into our next item from Squirrel. Long Lost Quest Packs number 4, End of an Expansion, where he goes over various areas that are released as regular content after the expansion, such as Lothlorien after Moria, Enedwythe after Mirkwood, Great River after Isengard. So all these little areas that are opened up afterwards, and that when everything is finished, wind up having parallel leveling areas afterwards. For example, once they came out with the expansion for Isengard, they eventually changed the Enedwythe area so it has the same level range as Mirkwood, which means that there are a lot of people who pretty much skip either Mirkwood or Enedwythe as a result of that because, well, you're gonna level them. I don't know. How many of you actually ever do completionists for both of them?
Cue the crickets.
Yeah, I think that just about answers it. I mean, I did it, of course, on my completionist character. So unless you're playing completionist
Hmm.
intentionally, you're probably not going to do both of the areas. You're probably going to do one or the other, or maybe just epic through both of them, and that probably gets you most of the XP you needed anyway.
Well, this is very much, I mean, not necessarily quest packs and everything, but the starter instances and the starter areas, because there's like three different ones. Once you get through like the starter area, if you're a man and you're in Bree and you kind of go on there, um, it's like it's if you ever go to Thorns Hall, suddenly there's a whole area there that you never have done before. But by that point, it's all gray, you know, and
Yeah,
it's all so low level. But I mean, they exist at the same time. So you
yeah,
have, it's kind of similar to that, but it's not really necessarily a quest pack or an expansion or something.
yeah.
It's just, yeah, I mean, it's been there from the beginning.
Well, yeah, they did that intentionally. Starter areas, I think, traditionally do that in various games, such as even back on World of Warcraft, for example, each race has its own starter area. It's not until you very rarely go into the another race's starter area to do quests. You usually just when you go into the first common area for them, that's where you may continue along. But yeah, you don't go back into another races. Actually, you might do it more often in LOTRO than in some of the other games.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the idea there is to give them each a story that's unique to their race, so that they could feel comfortable with the story background of whoever they are. And you can't do that and have everybody expected to do the same quest. I mean, because you don't want everyone to go through all four starter areas in order to get up to a level where they're going to go to Bree. But yes, and I think that these end of an expansion things, they are. I think it was less intentionally done. I think the ones with the races were intentionally done. So yeah, it's a subtle difference. But yeah, I can see what you mean. And there are other areas like that. For example, North Downs versus Lonelands feels that way sometimes.
Hmm.
Mm, let's head into our weekend Lotra. And Arendis, what were you up to?
This week in Lotro, I was not up to much due to some real life stuff. I got my pig pants, so yay, and my baby dwarf is absolutely ecstatic. Lots of screenshots were taken. Speaking of baby dwarf, it's a hunter learning how to run in yellow line. Most of the time when I run hunters, I'm either in red or blue. But this particular hunter is sort of, kind of in a group, and yellow would be better in this particular scenario. So I'm just trying to figure out how all of the other skills work.
It's so
Other,
much fun to blow up things, though.
I know I found the on accident,
Oh, that's Ghost is like, oh, so that's what that does.
and then something explodes, so it's it's pretty
So is
great.
this the dummy, or is this the explosive arrow that you can target?
Both. The dummy was the first one that I found, and I was like, wait a second, what did I just hit? And then something exploded, and I was like, what did I just do? Is anybody hurt? Did I do something stupid? Did I target somebody on accident? Oh dear. But no, it's been fun. I've enjoyed it so far. Probably have more laughs on me trying to set this stupid dummy in place, but we'll see how it works. Other than that, shout out to Guer for helping me get a level, I believe it's 24 or 26 ish lore master up to Erebor in time for Durin's Day. So appreciate
Yes.
it. It was a lot easier having someone to run it with me as opposed to me just charging through trying to figure out where the heck I was going on a little tiny baby lore
My
master.
pleasure.
I really did appreciate it. But that was basically my week. Calabathian, how was yours?
Well, speaking of Durin's Day, I took several alts up the mountain for Durin's Day with the girls, aka like what I like to call Moose Attack 2 Electric Boogaloo. Um,
I hated I missed that run.
Everyone was waiting for me, and I'm riding with my first alt, and I finally get to Erebor, and as I'm pulling up in, on this horse from, getting there, all I hear is, "Hurry! Don't turn around! The moon! Don't stop! And
Nope.
get
Keep
up
going.
the
Keep
stairs! Go
going.
inside!
Up,
Keep
up,
going!
up,
Keep
up.
going! Up! Get inside!" And I see this moose like charging up the stairs, and I'm laughing as I land, and I like hop off the horse, the stable horse, and then I realize, oh crap, I'm the lowest level that's out here right now. It's probably going to target me next. So I'm like, I get up on my horse and I'm like running, as because it had charged back down. I'm like running like, don't get me, don't get me, don't get me. So yeah, that was amusing, and it was really, it was actually really, really fun, because other than that, there was also trying to get us all up there, and we were like running in a pack, and you could just see us, like one person would fall off to one side, and then another person would die and be falling off. We were just like falling like flies, just dropping, and everyone was just cheering like, keep going, you're almost there. I think we ended with our lowest levels, like our fives and our sevens, actually getting taken up there. But by that point, we had basically gotten sick and tired, and so some of our high levels were like clearing out the area so that the little guys could run up there. It was great. But I got several of them up there for the first time, and I got one of my I got my Calabathian on Laurelin. She got up there for her second Durin's Day. So she's got the second title. Everyone else has their first title that I wanted to do. There were some of them I don't really mind, but yes. Um, I had a case of the mysteriously possessed axe on the Academy yesterday. On Arkenstone, I have my champion, and that's the champion Calabathian, not my hunter one. But we were running around, and I actually have a screenshot of this. Apparently, no one else could see it, but I had my axe, and I had just gotten the pig pants, and she was on her pig, and she was running, and I realized all of a sudden that for some reason her two-handed axe that I'm having to use right now was floating in midair at her side, like horizontally parallel with her. So when she would stop, it would hover. and when she would like run, it would be like in front of her or something out of the way. But every time she would stop on that pig, it would just hover right beside her, and no one else could see it, but it was there for me. So I actually posted it to the Academy uh, Discord server afterward because I was just like, what is going on? Though, admittedly, once I dismounted and remounted up, it was fixed. And across my back was the axe digging into like nearly the spine of the armored pig. So it's a tough pig. What can I say? And that's kind of echoed by some of the stuff that Cinders and I found out about some glitches with mounts. Fun with mount glitches today. But my last thing that happened was I did get 2 pair of pig pants to wear because the expansion comes with your 2 pigs. One of them is armored and one of them is not. As a matter of fact, it's pig pants with dentures. Have you ever seen? If you guys look at the faces on those pig mounts, the pig pants, they have teeth that look like dentures. They're wearing dentures, y'all. Dentures. But yes, we're in this. How about you? How was your week?
Well, I had a very busy week. Of course, as you had mentioned, ran 3 different low-level alts. Well, the highest level was 51, and it went down very quickly from there. Up to the the secret doorway, or not so secret doorway anymore, I suppose. And yes, did go back and clip from the girls' stream that glorious moment when Valori and I were standing by the stable master, and I saw the moose come up over over the edge of the stairs. I remember seeing the first stream of girls. I was not a part of girls yet at that time. That was like about a year or so before, and laughing until I cried. It's a little more nerve wracking when you're there and the moose is charging you, but still hilarious.
Oh man, I was running for it with the camera on Sunday, and then I realized that nobody would be able to see the moose I was running from, so I turned around.
My guardian. The last time we spoke, I think I had maybe hit level 46. The very next day, one of my kinmates who was level 49, been convincing her to get her legendary item and then just go back to Angmar, do whatever she's doing, but level it. And both of her items there. So as moral support, I took my 3 levels lower guardian with her level 49 hunter, and we unlocked Moria, got our first ally. And she and I then individually over the course of the week got our second allies. My guardian is now level 51. She completed her level 50 class quest at 48. She has both of her
Nice.
allies. She unlocked the Watcher Stones in Angmar, and she finished up Goblin Town and is in Gwingris getting ready to explore Eregion. So that's a lot of work done on that, which makes Thursday even more amazing because, well, it started Wednesday. I helped Sans get the first goat for the Secret Stone, but the next day, Gorindus finally has the mount of the Shadowed King, with special thanks to the captain that I normally run with, Emmeline, who was another captain from my kin, and Sinzwinda for all the fun and the instances for the fragments for the second stone, which, yeah, those are the ones that you have to run, like Dark Delvings, the 16th Hall, and Darnarbigand. And we also ended up for the Rift, but I think that was for the second stone too. Yeah, so they're like these fragments that you have to pick up to put all that stone together, and that was a thing, but it was a lot of fun. Well, Sansvina, I'm sorry I may have spoiled some of your stuff, but what else did you get up to this week?
Well, this week I also got pig pants, and I discovered that if you are wearing pig pants and you use the smoke emote, that then you will imitate wearing pig pants for a long while on your screen until you relog, actually.
Sans
Unless
pig.
you're a dwarf. It apparently does
Without
not
pig.
work on dwarves.
Without pig.
Oh yeah, without the pig. Like, you'll just float around as though you're riding a pig. Unfortunately not at the speed of the pig, but you know, whatever you can get, you get, I guess.
Also,
but
Cinder's. Hey, Cinder's.
uh-huh.
If it's just another regular mount, she did one on a regular with her non-person earlier today.
Yeah, I tested it on a goat the next time I logged in, and it worked on a goat. And then I tested it on a war steed, and it worked on a war steed. The main difference being like how high off the ground you were after your mount was dismissed. But then we tried it with a dwarf, and it didn't work at all.
Yeah, I
So-
noticed that with my stout axe, it didn't work.
Yeah, so dwarves seem to be immune from this pants, or from this effect. But if you ever want to like be amused or like pretend to ride a barghest or something like that, you should definitely put on your pig pants and smoke. Because they're
Get on
about the
your
right
pig
height,
pants and smoke 'em.
right? And I got 2 new goats this week. And they're epic, and it was a lot of fun to chase the secret stones. Might have confused some people who were deeding, but it was fun.
I forgot about that.
I know. We ran into a level 43 character, I think, who was deeding in Erdluin, and like, I think they thought I was pulling their leg about chasing a secret stone for a goat, but I really wasn't. It was honest. I was after a goat reward from a quest, and the quest was about secret stones. So, it was pretty fun. And then I ran through Sundergrot for the 3rd time today.
Boy.
And as we were in Sundergrot, I was with Cinders and Kiosaurus, and Cinders was like, I don't know where the last bridge is, but we've got to get out of here. And so she took off running through all the mobs of Sundergrot and dragged them all the way through Sundergrot. And instead of like a train of red dots behind us, like it was like a line of red dots. There were so many red dots you could not tell where one started and another stopped. And I was running behind her with my daggers drawn on my little burglar, because I ran through some fire, so I wasn't in stealth. My daggers drawn, looking very fierce, running in the middle of all of these orcs and goblins, like waving their arms with their weapons, and she died like just feet from the door. But we got out and we summoned her back, and then we went back in, and we finally found the bridge, and we threw the sappers off of it. And she did the same thing, and it was epic. Except this time she ate something first and didn't die. And yeah, so that was my week. Terry, how was your week?
Well, I too got pig pants, which Terry isn't currently wearing because they look really strange under a human. They actually look really strange under pretty much everybody except dwarf.
Don't worry, if you smoke and then dismount, it'll look more strange.
And then she renamed her battle pig, which is the pet, Sparta, because it looks very fierce.
Nice.
Yeah. And then ran around. Yeah, she also did Durin's Day, but that's less important because she's actually level 130. She's the only character that I did Durin's Day on because she's done it the previous 2 years, so she's got her 30-year title. I am not one of those people that likes to commit character suicide by trying to run them up the slopes of Erebor. So all of my low level characters sensibly stayed where they belonged in the low level zones.
I mean, I didn't try to get any of my characters killed.
It just ends up happening that way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everything just decided it looked tasty. That was all.
I also played with some of the new cosmetics. I actually love the look of the new armor that you get for the Three Peaks pack, I have a new outfit for Terry that she's not wearing yet because it's still a little too cold. Probably when she gets into more battle mode and not running around doing chores for dwarves. Um, Instead of chores for bears, it's chores for dwarves. I also am pretty sure, um, because I made some new alts on Anor, which I've talked about not playing on the legendary servers. I'm actually sort of playing on the legendary servers, but with alt names that I'm not going to share because I kind of want to be on my own. Um, so I'm not using any kind of naming scheme. I'm not picking any of the names that I typically use except for Terry Adwin because that's always me. But so I have a hunter, I made a minstrel, and I have a little stout axe dwarf runekeeper, um, who I was finishing up just before the podcast. And there's a dwarf that we see toward the end of the stout axe intro that I'm pretty sure we see again in the new zone. Um, to be confirmed from Standing Stone, but I'm pretty sure it's the same dwarf. And I hadn't picked up on it when we ran into the guy because I'd only done the Stout X intro like twice. But um, when I was doing it again, I was like, I'm pretty sure this is the same dwarf. Um, but we don't actually know for sure yet. And yeah, that was my week. Pineleaf, how about you?
What I did this week on Honor, my warden there finished up the bingo boffin chain. So that's all done. And I finished that up just in time for next week when we're going to have the fall festival, which of course has sort of an epilogue to the bingo boffin chain. So I think the timing on that worked out very, very well. Then on my main warden, I started the content for the War of the Three Peaks storyline, and of course, I'm doing a YouTube series on that one. And I also started working on missions on that character. And I also did some missions on a level 130 lore master that I have, so I'm checking out the mission system. But there's one thing I was wondering about is how missions are working on a lower level character. So I created actually no, I didn't create the character. I already had the character at level 16, so I just leveled that character up to 20 so I could reach the minimum level. Then I started doing missions there, and when my experience got near the end of level 20 just before leveling in there, I put on the tortoise stone because I want to see how missions work all over the place concerning level 20. So I'm going to be doing many tests, level 20 tests on that specific character in there. So I won't be leveling up past 20 for a while yet. So I know it's counterproductive for using missions to level if you're putting on the tortoise stone. But so far it looks like yes, you can viably do missions on a level 20 character. That's how everything looks so far on that matter. And that's my week in LOTRO. We currently have 14 supporters on Patreon, and if you'd like to join this illustrious rate of players and help support LOTRO players, you can go to the donations page. You can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. Your money would be used for our podcast hosting, website hosting, and to pay for our live shows. If you would like to support us without joining Patreon, you could contact Drac at lotrplayers.com. We did not receive any emails this week, but if you'd like to send one, you can send it to podcast at lotrplayers.com. You can also follow us on Twitter. The Players Alliance at Players Ally, and Lotra Players at Lotra Players, Arendis at Arendis, Pineleaf at Pineleaf Needles, Sanswinda at Sanswinda, Terry Edwin at Terry Edwin, Guarendis at Guarendis, and Calabathian at Calabathian. The Players Alliance has two shows on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. We have DDO Players News, and on Saturdays at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have Lotra Players News. You can source our shows at lotraplayers.com/live. And that is all for tonight, and this is Pineleaf Needles reminding you to skirmish responsibly.